Okay, hey guys, so you're not going to see me today. I want to make sure you have plenty of view of what I'm about to go over. So today we are putting everything together. Basically what we're going to be talking about are healthy plate. How are we going to put all of the macros and nutrients that we've talked about into play? So I think I've mentioned this a little bit before. Vegetables should be something you're eating with every meal. That is a goal I would like you to start making your way toward achieving. Vegetables, particularly non-starchy vegetables, are going to contain a small amount of calories and be packed with nutrients. So those are going to be important. So I recommend choosing non-starchy vegetables in particular more frequently, eating 2 to 3 times more vegetables than fruit consumption. We'll talk about fruit consumption here in a minute, but there is a difference in vegetables. There's non-starchy and starchy. I would recommend looking at this non-starchy list here. So lots of different things. I say eat the rainbow, not Skittles, but in fruits and vegetables. There are many colors, as we talked about last week, that are going to have different benefits for different systems of the body. So you guys can see maybe there's some on this list that you haven't tried. If you need any ideas of recipes or way to try it, please let me know. I've done eggplant lasagna, jicama fries, okra can be really tasty. Maybe you want to roast mushrooms or put them in some kind of dish. Beets are really good roasted as well. So let me know if you need ideas of preparation. Starchy vegetables are going to be oftentimes more of your squashes, peas, beans, any kind of potatoes, zucchini. Now, if you're doing zucchini, let's say over pasta, I think that's a win. You definitely want starchy vegetables in your diet as well, but just trying to get some non-starchies in there too. When it comes to fruits, I'm recommending 2 to 3 servings a day. For most of us being adults with the focus of weight loss, probably only needing about 2 servings. When I'm talking about 2 servings, I'm meaning about a cup of berries or melons, a medium apple, about half of a banana is actually a fruit serving, and then about 2 tablespoons of dried fruit. I recommend trying to stay away from dried fruit as much as possible. Do not recommend fruit juice in any way. It's going to be straight sugar, maybe occasional vitamin C, but almost no fiber, which many of my clients are lacking. So definitely whole fruit is where I'm going to stand and encourage you to achieve. Grains. So making half of your grains whole grains. So we've talked before about looking for that whole grain sticker or looking on the back of the label and making sure that the ingredients listed at the top are whole wheat, whole grain, some kind of oats or quinoa. That's going to ensure that there's no enriched grains or any nutrients stripped out of the grain. So whole wheat breads, I really like Dave's Killer Bread in particular. Cereals, recommend looking at the bottom shelves. The sugary cereals are usually put at eye level because those companies pay money to have them there. So just watch out for that. Whole grain pasta. I love Bonza pasta. There's some bean pastas that are really awesome. Oats. Anyone who's gluten-free, look for gluten-free oats just because although they are gluten-free, they are sometimes processed in an area with other gluten containing foods. Quinoa is great and filled with protein, so try that. Barley, farro, brown wild, they make black and purple rices as well, so explore there. Hopefully this gets you excited about some new things to try. Protein, I have vegetarian, non-vegetarian sources here. I would say vary your proteins. If you can do, 90% lean beef or do pork chops, pork tenderloins, those are going to be leaner options. But 2 fish servings a week is great for you. If you're doing beans or peas, those are mainly a starch, but for vegetarians, that can be a great higher protein option. Nuts and nut butters are going to be a fat, but those can be 6-ish grams of protein, which can be beneficial. Soy, tofu, edamame, that's going to be a pretty high protein source. Great in terms of dairy if you're doing that as a dairy alternative. Soy milk is one of the highest in nutrient profiles compared to cow's milk. We've talked about Greek yogurt. Keep doing that for protein. We talked about dairy milk being one of the highest in fortified vitamin D and D3, which we utilize a little bit better, so try those. Healthy fat, so we do need fat in our diet. A handful of almonds, half of an avocado, a tablespoon of avocado oil. I have all kinds of things here. Don't forget seeds. Those could be great as well. Remember, we want to make sure we're doing raw nuts, adding our own seasonings. Try not to get anything that has a bunch of dried fruit added or salt or chocolate covered, yogurt covered. That's going to add some calories, some sugar, and some fat there. We want to do the healthy fats, not the processed kind. Snacks, so limiting processed and junk foods, trying not to add salt to foods. Be careful with soda, coffee, and energy drinks, remembering sweets in moderation. 80-20 rule is what I recommend. 80% of the time eating like this, 20% of the time we are splurging. Okay, so there is that. Some other weight loss tips. We want to focus on 1 to 2 pounds a week. High protein foods and vegetables first. We want a minimum of 1,200 calories to avoid underfeeding. This goes over some estimated needs. Men, obviously, they have a higher metabolism, so they are oftentimes going to need a little bit more calories. So follow along. I will have this attached in our email. This is a great guide. Okay, we're going to go over some label reading too. So things that you're going to find on a label: calories, fat, cholesterol, sodium, fiber. The percent daily value is going to be based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So you may not need as much of that if you are below that 2,000 calorie recommendation. One big thing that I want you to look at nutrition facts, we want to look at serving size and servings per container. My boyfriend is a perfect example. He loves sugary drinks, and he'll look and say, oh, this only has 5 grams of sugar. But then he realizes that, oh, maybe there's more than 2 plus servings in the container, so then we're bumping up to 15, 20 plus grams of sugar. So focus on how many servings and how many servings per container. Try to stick with that serving size if possible to keep you on track. If you're tracking in MyFitnessPal, that should certainly help you as well. Okay, so these items in the middle, the kind of red-orange, these are items that we want to limit more. Okay, we want our sodium to be less than 2,300 milligrams a day, cholesterol under 300 milligrams. Fat, we've talked about our tracking, how we would, where we want to be there. If you're unsure of where you fall, come see me, but that's going to be different depending on the person. Fiber, everybody needs fiber. I'm wanting about 25 to 30-ish grams, depending on whether you're male or female and your calorie needs, okay? This mentions some added fats. Some of these are going to be better than others. Lard, margarine, oils we should stay away from. Be careful of vegetable oils. And then it does a really good job of listing added sugar and sodium too. So definitely take a look at this. So jumping back to daily value, we want to make sure 5% or less is considered low in daily value, 20% or more is considered high. So these blue items, again, fiber, vitamin A, C, calcium, iron, we want these in high amounts. So if you find a food that's 20% or more of one of these items, you're doing great. But we also want to make sure that we are seeing less than 5% of the values listed in the orange-red area. Okay, so this will be attached as well. Feel free to ask me questions. I really like this visual. Last thing we're going to go over. So there is something called the DRIs. These are the dietary reference intakes. This basically is a set of nutrient data used in US and Canada, developed by the Institute of Medicine. It's used in academic settings, but it helps us understand how many nutrients we should be taking in. This is going to vary, but it does set certain requirements based on age, sex, things like that. So again, they're going to differ. The needs of a female 19-year-old college student are going to be different than those of a 35 pregnant female. So just kind of think about that. So the EAR, the estimated average requirement, this is going to be the requirement to meet half of individuals in an age and sex group. Then there's the RDA. This is what I like to look at in particular when I look at nutrient needs. This is going to cover 97 to 98% of healthy adults in an age and sex group. So really covering the majority of you. That's a really good one that I like to look at. We set adequate intake when we are unable to set an EAR or an RDA. Okay, when there's not enough scientific evidence, we find that there may be enough of a certain nutrient that's adequate. Okay, so RDA I would say is number one in terms of what we want. The EAR is going to be, okay, I'm doing an average job. Adequate intake is going to be something that's kind of estimated. All right, then there is tolerable upper intake level. So this is going to be the highest level of a nutrient likely to pose no risk. So that's how you know if you're taking in too much of a nutrient, which probably isn't going to happen except usually sodium or if you're heavy into supplement usage. Okay, then there's the AMDR. This is the acceptable macronutrient distribution range. So remember, carbs, protein, fats are our main macronutrients. We're not going to dive into alcohol today, but carbohydrates are generally going to be 45 to 65% of daily calories. I have many of you at 40% for weight loss purposes. Proteins 10 to 35%. A lot of you are in that 30% range. And then fats 10 to 35% of daily calories. The goal of the RDA is to set target intake to avoid nutritional deficiencies in groups of healthy people. Lab tests are needed to diagnose nutrient deficiencies. So if you're worried about that, come see me. I can get you some recommendations as to how you can get that tested and not make sure you're getting gypped or conned out of your money. There are a lot of people posing in ways that they can help you with that, and allergies and tying that all together. So talk to me about some people that would actually be good for you and actually work for you. A biochemical assessment is also required to look at an overdose of a nutrient. Again, overconsumption is oftentimes going to be seen with supplement intake. Take a look at this on what is listed in the attachments. This is going to be a list of different recommendations depending on age and sex. Okay, so that is all I have for us. Again, respond to your email, look at the attachments, and let me know if you need anything. Thanks so much, guys. I will talk to you later.